Hello, and welcome to Season 3 of Passionate People and Preposterous Peeves. I'm your host, Ike, and before I make too many more bold claims or sounds, I'd like to just take a moment and say thanks for coming back. It's been 2 weeks. And for giving this pod a listen. It means a lot. You're using like 1 to 2 hours of your time to listen to me go blah blah blue and somebody else go blah blah blee. Thank you. If after the episode you got, any more brain cells left or we've exhausted them, hopefully we haven't, if you could take a minute to just share this with someone you like or subscribe, that'd be great. If you'd like to hit me up, I don't know why you took a beat there. If you'd like to hit me up, you can find me at Twitter at @IKES, or you can always email me at passionandpeevespodcast@gmail.com. So as I said, it's season 3. Thank you for waiting. We've got new questions, new guests, and maybe even new sponsors. I don't know if y'all can hear my fan in the background, but I gotta have it going, at least right now, because I am really overheated. It is hot. It is summer here in the lovely, he said sarcastically, Los Angeles. There's not much going on in my life right now other than restarting season 3. Starting season 3. Restarting the podcast, I guess one could say. Making new questions. Hope you all enjoy them. Some of them are the same, some of them are new. The main segment's obviously still the same. Added in a couple things. This week, the awesome guest. Can't believe we got him. It's me! I brought along my brother and other pod co-host Elisha Sears to do the interviewing. He was kind enough to wake up at God knows when in the morning and help me record, even though lots of League of Legends was happening that he was excited to watch. So thank you so much, Eli. You're the best. Because of this and otherwise. If you like the banter on this podcast, one, subscribe to this one, but also feel free to check out our podcast at Super Pros Bros. You can find that on YouTube, SoundCloud, and Spotify, where we host a bi-weekly podcast where we talk about stories and such. Trying to think of what else is going on here. I don't think a whole heck of a lot. Got Magic tournaments that are being played here and there. I guess I'm making a concerted effort for the rest of the summer to try and write at least 5 days a week. See if I can make myself do that. I had a very interesting personal realization with my father, I guess, the other day. That's something we can talk about. Or I can talk about to you guys and listen. It's very interesting. I want to write, but don't have the drive. I mean, a lot of other things I don't have the drive, so I don't know if this is a me thing, a writing thing, a writing me thing, or a thing. But going through this very interesting dilemma of not having enough oomph in my woomph to quote Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I don't know if any of you all have had this, and if you have, please again hit me up at Twitter at @IKES, or feel free to email me at passionandpeevespodcast@gmail.com. I'd be very curious to hear about this. But for me, there's things I want to do, and sometimes I don't have the energy. Like, I love playing Magic, but still sometimes I don't feel like playing. I want to play, but I don't feel like playing, if that makes any sense. I don't know. I doubt this is a unique experience to my person, but it's very annoyingly problematic to want something but not want something at the same time. Or like want it, like have a destination on the map that you want to head but not have enough gas in the tank, maybe is the better way of putting it. And it's not like I'm tired, like wake up in the morning and I still don't have the juice to do it. So if anybody else has had that issue, I would love to hear, what it was, how it happened, how you resolved it, what you chose to do. I am every and all ears. Um, that melancholy aside, this episode was so much fun. It's always great to be interviewed, especially by my fantastic bro. It's always fun to answer my own questions that I've thought up too, because they're not always as easy as they seem. So it's always great. This is the third different kind of attempt to, the first season I bookend the season, second season I was the middle, and now I'm starting it. I'm curious which one you guys prefer. Is it kind of fun for it to be at the end? Is it fun for it to be at the beginning? Please, again, let me know at twitter.com/like Ikes or email me at passionandpeevespodcast@gmail.com. Without further lollygagging and, kind of bemoaning, please enjoy this fantastic time I had with my brother.
Ladies and gentlemen, he went to the WMCQ representing the United States. He sneezes like a sonic boom, and he's proudly surfed on luggage in front of his family. I'm here with the one, the only, Isaac Sears.
I
Say
forgot
hi,
about
Isaac.
that last one. Hi, Isaac. Totally forgot about surfing on luggage.
Say proudly too, like you dive bombed. There
Oh
was
yeah,
nothing subtle about it.
I think part of it was that everybody was like somewhere between you shouldn't do that and you won't do that. It was like bullshit to both.
Maybe, but
It was also at your wife's work.
yeah, it was at Macy's.
So stupid.
She's just getting off shift and wanted us to fucking vanish.
Sorry, not sorry, Artemis.
Maybe you should be.
I
But
probably should
anyways, Isaac, what decision in life are you the most proud of making?
be. Probably going back is. I was trying to think of something a little bit more highfalutin, but going back and getting my degree, even though a lot of it wasn't really my decision, like I kind of got coaxed into it wisely by multiple people who cared about me at the time. But I mean, ultimately was my decision. So going back and getting my degree, especially now as I'm dealing with some like physical issues, like I've been dealing with, and there's a good chance I'll have to go to surgery for my like upper right shoulder and carpal tunnel. So going back and getting a degree so I can do something else other than being like a robot handing out, rectangles. Pretty good idea.
And what is the best or most memorable piece of advice you've been given?
So I was having a tough time with this one, oddly enough. And I'm stuck between two. The first of which is given to me by a cartoon character, so I'm gonna leave that out there as a like potential like honorable mention. But it's sucking is the first step towards being sort of good at something. A la Jake the dog from Adventure Time. That one, it took me so long in life before I started being okay with being bad at something. And I think some part of it, I'll blame part of it on our society, but plenty of it was me, of this idea that like you always had to come out at 100%. You couldn't ever, come out kind of bad. And that would have and did prevent me from doing many, many things in life. Because it's like I wasn't willing to come out just not bad, but kind of not good enough, partially cocked, not all the way baked. And that's so much of life is like, I mean, if you look back at the first episode of this podcast, it is so hokey. There's so many problems. The pacing's bad. I'm not comfortable. And that's just like part of doing something.
No.
And so this idea that you have to come out at 100% is just like laughable, and it's going to stop everybody from ever trying or make everybody into a liar, whichever. But the one that I think I've actually been given by a real person is that nobody thinks about you after you leave the room. which sounds like when initially hearing it, my brain went, "Oh, that's so painful," and then it's like, "No, that's so good." Knowing that the second you are out of the room, you're not it. Take a little bit of a blow to the ego and realize that nobody gives a shit. Like everybody's living their own life. You're the
it's
hero.
very liberating when people don't give a shit.
Yeah, you're the hero of your own story, not of everybody else's, which means you don't have to worry about and, always meet everybody's expectations. You just need to meet your own. You can just be like, the second you leave, nobody's talking about you, which means you don't have to like, oh, did they think that joke was dumb? I'll bet, it's like that kind of One Tree Hill WB after school, heartthrob teen show idea of character leaves the scene, everybody gossips about him. It's like, not really. Like not at all. So
Yeah.
just like don't worry about, other people like talking about you behind your back or, thinking that you did, that when you tried to, crowd surf on those luggage trolleys, you looked like a moron. They're not talking about you. They've got more important shit to do.
What was the luckiest moment that you can think of in your life?
Let me ponder that as I make myself a cup of coffee. So I was thinking about this one. Like, it's really hard to quantify luck for me as someone who kind of was a math nerd for a while when it comes to like real life situations. But when it comes to like non-mathematical situations, even though like okay, backtrack a little bit. So
Backtrack.
if you reach into a bucket and you're not looking down and you pull out a black ball, you would think yourself equally like it would just be normal because you don't know what the odds were.
Sure.
So to like ascertain luck and variance and, exceeding that or being below that, you have to know what the probabilities were, which is like one of the reasons that like, wait, was I lucky or was this normal or was this average or was this just kind of bizarre? So like the real life example that doesn't come from mathematical circumstance that feels lucky, but like it's mostly just peculiar, is that when we went to uh when we were kids, we went to Europe on a family vacation. We
Yeah.
flew in and landed in Heathrow. Do you remember
Yep.
what happened there?
Yeah, we ran into a guy from Fallon
Yeah, we ran
who happened
into
to be going to our next flight, who was
to our
sitting next to us.
yeah. So we ran into my English teacher's son who had substituted one time when we were like in the hometown we were living in Fallon, which is a town of like 15,000 people at the time. And like he landed at roughly the same time in one of the world's biggest airports, and I saw him across the room. Is that luck or is that weird? Like
It's very unlikely, that's for damn sure.
it's very unlikely. So maybe that's the luckiest thing that happened. I don't know. That one's very bizarre. The one that I can nail down is probably one of the luckiest things I've ever experienced. Is, as plenty of things in my life come back to Magic, and I was playing a game of Magic the Gathering. I was in this situation where I was like very, very screwed. I was losing in a big way. And the only way I could win was draw in the top 5 cards. It needed to be one card. 4 times in 5 cards. In a specific order. It needed to start off with that card, and then in the next 4 cards, it had to appear 3 more times, being the whole entire copy of 4. So, for those of you that don't know, in Magic, sans a couple outliers and basic lands, you cannot have more than 4 of a copy of a card. In my deck, I had 4 copies of this one card. It's called Cryptic Command. I needed to draw it for the turn, and then in the next 4 cards, it needed to appear 3 times, and it did. Now, I don't know the math of that, but I know it's absurd. Astronomical probably isn't the right word, but it's absurd.
It's very low.
Yeah. luckily my opponent and I were not in like super contention for anything, so it was more hilariously annoying to him than it
Yeah.
was like a dagger from the universe. So we both got to just kind of like revel in holy crap, I can't believe that actually just happened. To go like running perfects.
Yeah.
But it did. And I ended up winning because of it. It's just like looking back, it's like, whoa. I think so. Yeah, I'd love to do the factorial on that because I think it's like pretty early in the game. So there's probably like 48 cards in deck. I'll have to do the on the ad break. I'm gonna try and do the math on that one. I'll put it in somewhere. If I
find the number.
yeah, let me see if I can figure out the number. It might be included in the intro or the outro or something somewhere. So listen for that later.
All right, if you were to take place in the WWF, whatever the hell the letters are now, that kind of style event, what is your walkout song?
So I remember we talked about this sort of a while ago. Less for the WWE, I think it's now called. The WWF is more iconic, so that's why it's there.
Sure.
I remember we talked about doing the chicken dance, and we thought that would be hilarious. Because at one point, my brother here was kind of looking at, we had kind of been talking about like the UFC.
Yep. That thought was a very active one.
Yeah, I don't think it wasn't even remotely foolhardy. So it wasn't.
I could have very easily lapsed into a bunch of amateur fights.
Yeah,
I don't
the
know
way
about
you say that as if it's like so bad to lapsed.
That was not the right word. Sorry, I'm firing from the hip here.
No,
Firing the mist.
I mean, it might have ended up being something that you would have regretted. So lapse isn't probably wrong. It's just a very funny word choice.
Yeah, it was something I never pulled the trigger on.
Yeah. But we had talked about it. We had come up with a couple ideas for you. And I remember we talked about the chicken dance as a way to like psych out the opponent. So I guess if I was a goofy character, if I was like a heel of sorts,
Yeah.
I think the chicken dance would be kind of fun. It'd be a great taunt. If I was like a serious fighter though, like one of the songs that like it's too much, but this is also the WWE we're talking about.
Absolutely.
So
Send it.
BFG Division by Mike Gordon from the Doom soundtrack.
Damn. Okay.
Just go as hard as you can.
That is, yeah, that's about as hard industrial as you can get. I like it.
It's a, if you want to come out in a mask or with like some kind of metal backstory, like it's not going to get better than that.
No,
Not that I can think of anyway.
No, that's probably impossible to beat on that front. What is your favorite book or a comic, even cartoon, that would be either the best choice for an adaptation or the worst choice for an adaptation? To the big screen, specifically.
To the big screen.
To the big screen.
So I'll give two answers in this. So for something that I think would make a great screen adaptation, and it's something that I'm actively working on, albeit taking a bit of a hiatus up until probably now, is Berserk. I think the fantastic manga and occasionally attempted anime that is Berserk is something that would make a great Hollywood screen debut as a show. Like, I think it would just be like a more metal. Is that even right? I don't know. It would be a metal follow-up to Game of Thrones. Very much in that kind of landscape.
There's an argument that it's more metal, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a different kind of
metal arm.
But I think it would make a really good adaptation. There's not too many like character thinks and then does. There's a lot of like talking. There's a lot of good ultra violence. It's gorgeously done. It's not simple, but it's not too difficult. I think the story just connects on a very just fundamental level. You don't have a lot of, high esoteric thought, but it does have a lot of great character depth. So I think it kind of hits all the right check marks. Something I hope they never try to put to the big screen would be something like Adventure Time.
I was gonna say you were gonna say Adventure Time next. I just know it.
It's like we're related. Yeah, like I hadn't thought about it until it was just like I heard cartoon worst choice. I was like, man, that would be. I've seen people do like little fan things, which is cute and like pretty impressive. Like somebody did like a kind of live action puppety one with like the POV of Finn talking to Jake, and it was like pretty messed up. I was like, well, that's pretty cool. And then like thinking about it, I would never want to see that. Like I just love it the way it is. I haven't particularly enjoyed the later seasons or what HBO has kind of done, like created their own independent stuff. It has felt cloying and, not kind of like, how can we get more money? Like it was, let's make more product, not that there needs to be more product made. And it really felt like it just didn't, it felt like a bit out of place. I wasn't a big fan of it. And if they tried to put it to the big screen, especially if they tried to make it live action, it would be like so antithetical to the way I relate and think of the IP.
Sure. I think that's completely fair. What's your favorite G-rated curse word?
This is one that I've kind of stolen from you. Muppet.
Yes, it is a great little British quip.
Yeah.
Muppet.
It's great too because if like a kid goes, "What's a Muppet?" You're like, "Oh, it's a cute," and you can just like immediately bail out of being a dick.
It's a puppet.
Yeah, it's a little puppet that brings joy, and they're like, "Oh, okay," but the adult's like, "You're a dick," just like
it's all about the intent.
Yeah.
What is a favorite myth you like to dispel?
I was looking it up. I was tempted to go with you only use 10% of your brain, but I don't know enough about the rest of it other than the fact
that's actually
bullshit.
False.
Yeah, it's just I know it's bullshit, but I don't know much beyond that. The one that I actually like to dispel. Do you know? Hold on, before I go into it, do you know more about the 10% of your brain thing? Because I know that's just false, but I don't know in which direction or how. Because I know there's like a modicum of truth.
False.
There's not. Okay.
The big thing is that like most activities of your brain do not use all of it. However, different activities use different parts. So yes, you do not use 100% of your brain at any given point because speaking doesn't use the same neurons as, say, walking. And swearing doesn't use the same neurons as, say, regular speaking.
It's like painting, you don't use every color at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yes, you're going to use a myriad of colors, but you're not just going to fucking slap them all together.
You're not, whoa!
Yeah,
I'm just like,
if you were to overstimulate your brain, that's called a seizure. Like, I mean, yeah. So, like, drawing uses different sections of the brain than speech, than, fighting, than whatever. Like, anything. They use different chunks because the brain is programmed to use different chunks. And oftentimes you use multiple at the same time. Like, if you're walking and talking, guess what? It's going to fucking light up both. It's not going to limit itself to 10% because, we'll use 10%. Shut up.
Yeah, so cool. Learned something new, but I didn't know all that. The one that I do know that I love dispelling, much to I'm sure my coworkers and kids at my work's dismay, is that Napoleon wasn't short. Napoleon was roughly average size, depending upon the community he was in. He would have been slightly tall. He wasn't like gigantic, but he was like 5'5", 5'8", something like that. And for that time, was
moderately sized.
He was fine. Yeah, he wasn't big. Like we had Scandinavians existed back then. He wasn't big, but he definitely wasn't short.
Yeah, he was not a midget.
He wasn't drawn. The reason we think that is my favorite bit to like kind of like push my glasses up to the like
some dickhead painted him short.
Yes. So this is one of my favorite things is the Brits, especially back then, really knew how to do war. And I don't mean that in just fighting. They were kings of propaganda in like this, like probably the whole entire time that they've had newspapers. Because the reason we think of him as short is from the way he was talked about to the British public and the way he is on record is there was this cartoonist who drew him really short to make him inoffensive to kind of quell the worry of the British people. so that we didn't think of him as this unbeatable enemy and have people not sign up, like to go to war, but be like, oh, this little bitch, and be like, oh, we got him. You know, we can take him. He's short, he's small, he's easy. It kind of goes. This kind of like dovetails into. Do you know why people thought, and arguably still think, depending upon what age of person you're talking to, that if you eat carrots, you'll have better eyesight?
I know that one's British propaganda.
That one's British propaganda,
Because
and
of like a old ace pilot.
Sort of. So the reason it came out was because the British figured out radar, and they didn't want the Germans to know. So they came up with this myth to tell the people that the people would then in turn tell the Germans. So they're like, yeah, our pilots eat the best carrots. You need to farm lots of carrots. And people were like, okay, carrots.
I'm going to add a layer to that.
Oh.
The other reason it was carrots specifically,
Yeah.
food shortages. Carrots were really cheap and they had lots of them. That's why they introduced things like carrot cake and extra ways to eat it.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that. Oh, that's so cool. It makes perfect sense. But yeah, like that. Oh, that's so cool. I didn't know that. That's a fun little bit to add in. That's so cool. Yeah, but I just love when it's just like, yeah, nope, it's not only a myth, but there's a reason it's a myth. Like, I don't know why. I think it was just a moron who heard the fact 10% of your brain and just ran with it, and that's why we have movies like Lucy. But like the Napoleon was short, carrots help your eyesight. There's a reason you think they are. Like, it is a myth that was propagated by very smart people for an intention. It's like, that's fucking cool.
That's very deliberate.
Yeah.
And what is the proudest accomplishment that you can lay claim to that few people know about?
I'm sure there's what. So I'm kind of coming full circle when it comes to like looking at Magic the Gathering accomplishments and being like, I did that, because so much of it's just variance. Also, I can't point to many where I feel like I just like outbrained you. So the one I'm gonna go with, this one's a little. I'm sure if I was given more time, I could come up with a better one. But this one's like just kind of, it's just kind of right. Is passing Spanish 3 in college. Nobody, like, again, like, you know, you leave the room, nobody remembers.
Sure.
Something we could talk about. But I took Spanish 1 and 2 in junior college when I was still in high school, or like that summer. So I was like 18, maybe 19. I took Spanish 3 when I was like 32, 31.
Yeah.
Just a hot minute apart.
A little bit of time to forget.
And somewhere, I did have plenty of help. My professor was very understanding of people who just, because it was a requisite for a lot of people to get degrees. Like literally day one, he's like, who's taking this because they're looking, you know, at becoming fluent? Who's looking this to become, like, is this going to be their major area of study? And who's taking this class to, you know, get their degree? At, you know, 90% of the room, 95% of the room raised their hand. I was very much part of that 95%, and I was struggling so dead. Like, he comes in, as he should, it's Spanish 3, speaking Spanish, and I'm like, ha! But somewhere between his understanding, I have a friend who is very fluent in Spanish and helped me a lot. Thank you, Dan Millickman. And Duolingo, that cute goddamn owl, got me close. But there was a lot of work that I had to do. I spent every day doing my Duolingo. I spent many a weekend doing projects with my friend Dan Milkman's help and insight. I showed up to every class. I tried to contribute. I tried. And through the grace of God and my professor, I got a C. And I've never been prouder of a fucking C in my whole fucking life. It was not fucking close.
What is the silliest non-religious thing you believed as a child you look back at and giggle?
It was like 7th or 8th grade gym class, I remember we had to do like the toe touches.
Okay.
I don't remember if it was sitting. I think it was sitting and, you know, like reach forward, try to touch your toes, or, you know, try to touch this or whatever. And it's kind of interesting. Our mother pointed out, and I think it's very true, you have slightly longer legs than most people, especially your size.
A little bit.
And I have slightly longer abdomen than most people my size. Abdomen just kind of continues to go for a hot minute. It's like, didn't need to do that. Could have had a little bit more leg. And knowing that when I was trying to touch my toes is like, well, you know, I remember making this excuse to my then gym teacher. I was like, well, you know, it's hard because I have a longer abdomen, so you know, it's harder for me to touch my toes. And thinking that for years. And then I think when I ended the class, I said that to her. You know, we were doing our final, like, to see how we'd progress throughout the time there. And I did that. I was like, yeah, you know, hard to do that. And she goes, you do realize that and she goes, and I mean if your abdomen is longer, that would make it easier for you to touch your toes, not harder. It's like, fuck! It's like, damn it! It's like, using this excuse was the exact opposite of an excuse. It would have been a reason for me able to do it. I'm just like,
Fool.
Such a derp.
Favorite slang word or phrase?
So I don't know if this one would count because this one's hard to look up, but skosh is something I use a lot, and I feel like people don't know it. And depending upon which dictionary you look it up in, it comes up as a word or it doesn't come up as a word. So I'll say skosh depending upon which dictionary you use. If you're counting like it just needs to be in a dictionary, I would say probably like rad or dope are something I find myself as a Californian kid saying a lot. Just great words. Very just phonically emblematic of what you mean. Like, I feel like somebody didn't know English and you're like, dude, that's rad. They'd be like, that's a good thing. Like, they're like, I don't speak English, but that's definitely a good thing. Maybe hella. Hella's great, especially growing up in a religious household.
Very, very early 2000s of you.
Yeah. Hey, man. I graduated from high school in 2006.
Listen. I remember the words. All right. Got a quick. Play the phone game. Yank out your phone. How much battery life does it have left?
91%.
How long ago did you buy it?
2017.
Got some days. Is the screen cracked?
Christina's not cracked. I have never cracked a screen on a cell phone that I kept.
Mazel tov. What is the first picture on your roll?
It's me drinking some boba.
Nerd. What's your favorite meal to make for yourself?
And that concludes the phone game. Ba-da-ba-ba-bow. My favorite meal to make just for myself is the world's best sandwich. I think it's technically a BLT. The link will be included below in the references, hopefully. It's the Spanglish sandwich from the Binging with Babish episode. For those of you that know or want to look it up before without looking down. It's just like a BLT with maybe like cheese and avocado. It's got a couple extra bits of biz. I don't quite remember, but it's fucking amazing. It's really basic, but damn, it's good. I think it's got like a fried egg. Like it's just like it's got little bits of extra, but ugh. If you make it in a small amount, it probably won't end your day. If you do it up like I do, you're gonna need a nap. It's a
sandwich to KO, yeah.
It's a caloric hammer. It's so delicious, though. Holy shit.
This is a poor man luxury that you still enjoy to this day.
Pigs in a blanket.
Preach. Biggest everyday temptation?
I've had to delete this game from my computer, and I'm probably gonna have to delete it from my phone. Hearthstone Battlegrounds is a straight up addiction for me. I'm finally coming to grips and willing to accept that I cannot play that game in moderation.
It's a problem.
I will play. I've played 12, 14 hours before, kind of unwittingly. So not like I had stuff to do. I think as part of it was I had an open day, but like there will be days where I play like 6 to 8 hours, kind of by I had shit to do today. Look.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, the fact that it's so easy, it's like, to be fair, I no slight towards the people that made this game. I think it's a fantastic game, but it's something that I can never find myself out of, because like winning's so hard to do, and then it felt so good that you want to play more, so that feeds into it, and then losing sucks because you didn't get to play as much as you wanted. It's really hard to find a good end for me anyway to the game where I can like be like, yep.
Yep, I'm not gonna lie, I had to learn that struggle of when to walk away. When I played a lot of League, I still do. Like, for a while, it was just like, you'd get trapped in the one more, just one more, just one more. And I then just went, nope.
I've told you about the best just one more, right? Not from me personally, but it's my favorite. It's one of my favorite just one more stories. Oddly enough, not from my dealing days. I'm gonna take that silence as a no.
I'm thinking. I don't think so.
So, when I went to college the first time, I lasted 2 semesters. How I lasted even 2 semesters is wild. Because I was just doing a shit job as being a student, let alone a roommate. Holy shit. But Super Smash Melee had just come out.
Yeah.
Partway through. And the guy I live downstairs is Francisco. Great guy. Love him to death. Yep. And JPEG would constantly come over, and we'd like anybody who's in the room would play Super Smash. It was just the two of them. I was just sitting back and watching because that was kind of bad, and like they just wanted to play a quick game. I was like, sure, whatever. They play. One of them wins. One of them loses. It's, it's a fighting game.
That's how it works.
And then the other one goes, "Oh, come on, just one more." They go, "Okay." And then the other one would win, and they would say, "Just one more." This went on for 5 hours. And they both missed their class that they were about to go to when JPEG walked in. Like, Full Sail did not show up to class, a minute of class that day, either of them. Fucking hilarious.
God.
I don't remember if it ended when they realized how much of a moron they'd been and that they both missed their classes, or if one of them won 2 in a row, went to go to class, and then realized it was already over. But it was fucking amazing. I'm like, I started laughing partway through because I saw the hilarity in this, and they were just so incensed that didn't even register as like something to pay attention to. Like, why is this doofus freshman giggling at us?
Amazing.
It was fucking great. All timer.
This kind of goes hand in hand with this. If you could check your life stats, what non-requisite activity do you think you have the most amount of hours logged on?
It's either playing Magic or watching YouTube, and I really don't know which. It should be
watching YouTube.
You think it's watching? Okay. I was gonna say it sounds like people that know me in life. It sounds like it should be playing Magic or just like engaging with Magic cards in some way.
I mean,
but like YouTube's a motherfucker.
I was gonna say, as far as social aspects go, I'd believe it's Magic, and I don't think it's anywhere close. But
yeah,
there's a lot of just downtime that people have that you don't think about or account for. There's a lot.
There's downtime when you're playing Magic and you watch YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. Easy peasy.
Yeah.
All right. And before we throw it to our first commercial, if you could have the listeners to this podcast hear one song, what are they listening to?
A Good Song Never Dies by Saint Motel. The name kind of says it all, and then the song's also a banger. It's a great kind of cathartic reminder to go back and listen to bangers. Like, I'll listen to that song, and then I'll go listen to older bangers in my life, so I love it for that reason. But, like, just because of the message it kind of sends, but also the song just slaps. So, yeah, check that out.
Well, you heard the man, so go check it out. And with that, we're going to throw it to our first commercial break, so please feel free to stick around and enjoy this totally real commercial. Or take a minute and enjoy, what was that again?
A Good Song Never Dies by Saint Motel.
If you really want to hear a song from a previous episode, check out the playlist on Spotify. Either way, we'll see you in a jiffy.
Have you ever just looked at fried carbs on a plate and thought, I need to eat those, but it doesn't taste all that appetizing? Introducing catsup. Catsup is a sugary and red syrupy paste that'll overshadow any unappreciated taste. Simply douse the unpreferred tasting object and ingest. Mmm. Thanks, catsup.
Welcome back. So, Isaac, What is your passion?
Well, Eli, I really enjoy video essays. I cannot, like, this is going to sound like a very cop out answer, maybe, but I cannot get enough of them. The amount of time I search out the right ones, want to share them, as someone else on this podcast can attest.
can't.
I I fuck with them in the hardest of ways. I love them so much. There are what like trying to think of the longest one I've watched. It's not something that like, oh, a casual, just like chill watch, like to grandstand a little bit. I don't fuck with this TED Talk bullshit. I'm talking video essays. Like, we're talking like hour minimum. Like, let's get big dicks. Like, I cannot get enough of them. One of my favorite video essayists is this guy called Breadsword, and he will do 2 hour. Like, I watched him. He's just so good and compelling. I watched him do a 2 hour video essay rating and ranking all the Scooby-Doo movies ever.
All
Didn't
things.
regret it for a moment.
There's like 50.
There's a lot.
He had to watch them.
Yeah. Multiple times.
Anyway.
There's the one I watched recently was over 2 hours. I think it is about Lupin the Third and the amount of back data and info he goes into that I don't care about, but I do care about. Like, it doesn't make a difference to me. This isn't something I've watched the movie. I like it. It was cool. But like, it doesn't change the way I feel about it. In and of itself, it is its own project. It is just, oh my God, it's the best. I love it. I love video. Like, a good video essay is, it might be better than the best movie I've ever watched. I don't know. That might be sacrilege.
That's sacrilegious. I'm just going to throw that out there. What got
Okay.
you into it? Like, what prompted it?
I'm trying to think of when I think the first video essay I ever watched was actually not that long ago. I think this would have been like a la 2016, 17. Because that's actually what, and maybe this is part of it, but there was this YouTube channel called Every Frame of Painting, and made video essays. They were a lot more bite-sized, like sub to a little over 10 minutes each. And it's about film and one aspect of like it's usually one aspect of either an actor or a director's kind of statement. He looked at all the Jackie Chan movies. He looked at Spielberg oneers. He like very specific aspects and really crunched and made them very delectable. And that's what actually got me into film school, which got me through college and got me my degree. I don't know if I would have been able to do another degree, honestly. I don't think I have the right brain to be doing anything other than getting a degree in film, which, if you know how easy it is to get a degree in film, it says a lot. But yeah, I think that got me into it. And then from there, I went to film school, met other people that were kind of into that sort of thing, fell in love with the format when done properly. And yeah.
So, why? Like, what made it stick so hard? Why are you so passionate about it?
I think because this part of it might be that there's no audience. With like a TED Talk, you're one of many.
Sure.
When it's a video essay, it almost feels personal. Like if you take a moment and you think about it, it's for, and like sometimes and no slight against the creators, but sometimes whoever makes it will, make a point to say the audience or you at home, and like kind of like make it like kind of pull back the blinds a little bit. Oh yeah, there's other people here. But so much of the time it feels so personal and it feels like it's just for you. And my favorite kinds are when you get new information that nobody knows. Like those deep cuts, those like little bits of trivia. As my fellow, podcast Helmer at the moment knows, I love me a great deep cut, a random factoid, that's my shit.
It's true.
And
He does.
and so much of the time, the ones I search out anyway, you just get just a dearth of intel.
That is not the word you want.
That is not the word I want.
No. Depth. Maybe.
Yeah,
Trove.
dearth is lack of, isn't it?
Dearth is lack of.
Nice. Damn it. I knew that. You just get this treasure trove. This, like, my brain won't help me say it. This deep rock galactic of
What?
I don't know. Just go with it, man.
No. Just throw out video game titles. You might as well say you get this World of Warcraft of. Would have made as much sense.
Okay, fine. You get this just
You get
like
this StarCraft 2 of.
you go mining in Deep Rock Galactic, you're getting stuff.
Minecraft, then. It at least has mine in the name. Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
All right. You do get this like treasure trove of information that a lot of people other than myself don't particularly like, want, or need, but that I then subsequently give them after hearing this because I think it's so fucking cool.
Tell me
He
more.
said from his cup of tea.
Zip fizz, actually. But, yeah. Tell me more. Yeah. Who would have known?
Who would have known?
Who would have known? I don't know what happened to my voice.
But just that kind of feeling of knowing something that you're pretty sure other people don't know, or that you definitely didn't. And that it's just like, it's almost like a secret. And it feels like it was just for you.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just such a special feeling.
Well, what's a common misconception about it? Or is there one that you've encountered?
Yeah.
I'll say, because it doesn't seem like something that would be intrinsically like offensive or a point of contention for many people.
No, and a lot of people don't really know or care about them, so that's not something that they have opinions on. Some of the opinions might be that I guess one of the opinions might be that they're pointless. And they're not wrong, but they're not correct either. Because the point isn't to have a point. The point is for it to be fun. The point is for it to, like, you know something you didn't. And at the end, you do know something you didn't know before, which is the goal.
I don't know. I hate that mentality. There's so much shit you don't need to know.
Oh, for sure. But, like, I think it's also just incorrect, is my point.
Sure.
Like, is it irrelevant? Like, is it going to make a difference in my life knowing this thing? Not on its surface, but also neither is having, my favorite kind of ice cream versus whatever you're going to buy if I didn't say anything.
Sure.
Like, the difference between me having pistachio ice cream versus vanilla, if somebody went out and got me ice cream, does matter and it doesn't. I had ice cream. At the end of the day, I had ice cream. It's pretty good. But, if I had pistachio, it does make a difference. It colors it different. It puts a cherry on top metaphorically.
Yeah.
And so much of a video essay for me is that cherry on top, that little bit, that specialness to it.
Yeah. For sure. I don't think there's really much representation in TV necessarily.
No.
So what is your favorite non-obvious aspect to round it up?
I think the thing that helped remind me of this, and I hope other people find it, is that it always reminds you that learning is fun, or it can be fun. Like, it's this thing that when presented correctly, learning doesn't have to be this thing that is mildly arduous.
Yeah.
Like I'm a huge nerd. I like learning how and getting better at playing Magic the Gathering. That's like
Sure.
one of my big life hobbies. And to do that, a lot of the time, you do have to consume information. Like if you really want to get good, that is kind of arduous. Like trying to like figure stuff out, play the game, and figure out these moments. There are moments that are not particularly fun, and they're just like doing something to figure it out. And this is a good inverse of that, of just like having moments that learning can be fun. Not that learning can't also be boring, but it's a good reminder that it doesn't always have to be. And so like when, for instance, myself as a tutor and occasional teacher, when I'm creating my own content, I can try and make it fun, to appeal to like a younger generation. And to have a reminder of that, I think is very important and powerful in times such as these, because there is so much of life that is becoming difficult, and learning can be difficult for plenty of people now, especially if you kind of look at the way learning is generally taught, and the people that are trying to learn it is a little bit of an incongruity in like styles.
Yeah. All right. Switching tones, though. What is your preposterous peeve?
So,
Here we go.
kind of on the flip side of this, actually, I didn't even realize this. Other people not taking my suggestions. Big tilt-a-rooney. Pisses me off like it shouldn't. It should be the way a normal, sane person reacts to, you should check out this movie. Oh, okay. And then they leave it there. Or they go, no, dude, it's really good. Like, I mean it this time. Okay, cool. Oh, yeah, I'll look into it. And then,
They don't.
they don't. But the other person's like, whatever. I gave you this thing. Moving on with my life because I got shit to do.
Yeah.
The amount of times that I have I've given a rec, like, dude, you'd love this. They're like, cool. And they don't get around to it. And I just badger them about it. And then when they haven't seen it, I get like angry.
Mm-hmm.
Is laughably stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, you haven't even had the brunt of it. I know that you think you have. You haven't. Like, the worst I've ever done to you
Doesn't
was...
mean I've been caught astray.
No, you've gotten some main bullets. The amount of times that I was like, yo, have you seen Into the Spider-Verse? is kind of absurd, to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
That's on me.
Mm-hmm.
You'll never experience what David Martinez experienced. I badgered him for the better part of a year about watching Victor Victoria, because I thought he'd fucking love it. And I stand by that. I think he'd enjoy it. But also, it shouldn't and doesn't make a difference to me whether he sees it or doesn't. But I somehow thought it did. And for the better part of a year, as my roommate, I would just like weekly, like, yo, like, you seen this movie? He goes, no. And by the time our time had nearly come to a close, us being roommates, I remember the last time I brought it up, he goes, you ask me that again, I will purposely never watch it. And I saw it in his eyes. I was like, all right, I'm off it. I just like let it alone. And I still don't think he's seen it. But also, it doesn't fucking matter.
It's true. It doesn't. Wait. Okay. So, where do you think this comes from? Like, what? When did you notice it was really kicking in?
So I think this comes from wanting to be correct. We were very much brought up in... It wasn't a litigious household, but it was a very academic household. And one of the things that set our households apart in the most fun way, looking at you, Dad, was if we ever used a word incorrectly, we had to get up from the dinner table, go open up the fuck you head cracker of a dictionary, and peruse its tome-like pages until we found the word, read it aloud, and then we could come back to the dinner table.
I remember it as if we didn't know what something meant, we had to do that.
Yeah, but the amount of times that we got called out on it, it felt like...
That's fair.
Either which way, it very much fostered this idea in my head that I am slowly trying to jostle free of its mainstay in my mind space of correct is important more than anything else. And that's just wildly untrue. I would say, like, the more I experience life, the most important thing is to be civil and fun. Like, just having a chill vibe is worth 80 Encyclopedia Britannicas worth of intel. It's like, and I can't do that at the moment. It's like one of the hardest things to do is just let something go because of the way I was raised and the way it affected me. And so very much the reason this kind of gets on me is that I think this is a way of being correct, and this is a way of being helpful, and I think of this as a way of endearing myself to other people.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this way they'll like me, this way they'll remember me, this way I'll be relevant. This way I'll have value. It's a very healthy thought pattern.
I was going to say, that's not an obsessive thought pattern whatsoever.
No. But that's the reason I think that my brain like kind of ticks this way. And so when it comes to doing this, like, that's the reason it's like so hard for me to let it go. And obviously shit needs to be done about that. The first one is, since I can say that out loud, maybe, just faking it till I make it and just like letting it slide by just like deep breaths. Try to bring up something else to talk about so that I can distract my brain so that thought can like go off and die for a minute. And then because like the second it's out of my, like most things, the second you kind of like let it go away, it ceases to exist. If you're angry at someone about, talking about like whether Napoleon was short, if you just start talking about, which Disney movie you like more, good chance, at least in my experience, good chance you're going to forget about the Napoleon being short, and you can just let it go by proxy of it being out of the metaphorical field of vision.
Yeah.
It's like, so like that's the next step for me is just being like, okay, so how do I change this conversation as fast as possible? So I don't have to like one of the biggest ones it is, not only with, recommending movies, but friend is like parking the other day, and there's this parking app I'd highly recommend to everyone, and including did that day. It's called like Spot Angel. It's free for people that like street parking or like saving money on parking. It's a great way to look and see, like, if you're parked at a spot and you can't see a sign, it'll tell you when it's free. It shows like viewer ratings. It has great data on it. It's very useful. And a friend was like, hey, is it, can we park here? I looked it up. I was like, yeah, you should get this app, and yes, we can park here. And this is how I know. He goes, cool. I was like, you're not getting the app, are you? He's like, nope. It's like, but this is something you need to do. Like, this is something that the information you will need to have in the future. And this like saves you time. He goes, yeah. It's like, like it's like,
sorry, you want to run that by me again? Wow, you replicated it so well, actually.
Woo! Yeah, it's just like, my God, Dan Silver, I fucking hate you sometimes. You're my boy, but fuck you. Oh my God, it's just like, I was just like so
man is
angry.
Living rent free in your head.
Yes. Hasn't put a safety deposit down or anything.
Fucker ain't put a down payment on that shit.
Mostly, yeah.
Whew. All right. Is there a time? I may regret asking this. Is there a time that it has been more pronounced than what you just shared with that god awful sound?
Nah, I think between
that and Victor Victoria.
I think the Victor Victoria one is like the shining thing, because literally, like, you've met David Martinez. Guy's a peach. Guy's a doll. He's taken me at plenty of my worst times, and like, yeah, he's a great man and is very willing to put up with stuff. And for me to badger him that hard about seeing an old black and white movie starring like one of his favorite actresses, and it bothered him that much that he's like, if you ever say this again, I'll just literally intentionally never see it. Like, I know I fucked up because it stars it's not Katharine Hepburn. Who's in Sound of Music?
Uh,
Julie Andrews.
Julie Andrews. I was gonna say that was she's Mary Poppins. Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's Mary Poppins. She's also in Victor Victoria.
and she lost her voice because something. Fuck.
Oh, like recently?
No, like a while, like she can't sing anymore.
Bummer. She's
Uh,
fucking old.
Yeah, well, there was something that happened. Like I don't remember if it was like cancer or some kind
Oh,
of disease that, like
Beats.
messed up
Yeah.
her voice. And I remember at the Oscars, Lady Gaga sang "The Sound of Music" like in homage to Julie Andrews. And Julie Andrews like came on stage and had a hell of a moment with it. It's like,
Sweet.
oh damn. Also, did not realize that Lady Gaga has a tremendous classic singing voice. But
Oh yeah, no, she has an insane range too. I think she's like one of the people that has like 3+ octave range or something like that. I think she's in Rare Fighter if I remember correctly. But yeah, she is like, Gaga gets a lot of shit, but the bitch is
has
badass.
pipes.
Yeah, she's hardcore. Yeah, but I mean, like, my roommate and hopeful future guest, although it's hard to get a hold of him these days, David Martinez, gay man whose family did, like, I think his dad was a professional actor. They were a very big part growing up of the local acting scene in Humboldt County, like theater and stuff like that. So that's his wheelhouse. Like, we're talking Julie Andrews, based on, I think it's based on a stage play. It's old time, like Hollywood style, very well written. And I badgered him so hard that he was like, basically, fuck you. Like, it got actively angry. And I did like really dumb stuff. And he like saw his way past it. So like, that one has to be. I wish I saved it for that, just this bit, but as opposed to mentioning it earlier. But it's like, so I was such a clod.
Absolutely overstepped that.
Yes.
All right. Well, with that, we are going to head to our second ad break. But don't go anywhere. Let's move it back. Isaac is going to do the lightning round.
Do you ever find yourself doing a mundane activity with nothing to keep you from gouging your eyes out or sticking a pencil through one ear and out the other? Uh-huh. Well, then perhaps I could introduce you to music. Music comes in a variety of different types, flavors, and colors. Theorists say that it's the best thing to introduce to your life since food. So go out and get some and make your life just a little bit more bearable.
And we are back. Isaac, I don't know why I'm trying to do this terrible Bruce Buffer thing. Isaac, are you ready to enter the lightning round?
Yeah, all right.
All right. Buckle your seatbelts and keep your arms and legs inside the ride at all times. Is there a price to give up your passion forever, Isaac?
Yeah, $1 billion.
Fair enough. Would you rather make food or do the dishes?
Do the dishes. Can't fuck it up that way.
Did you ever cheat on a test in school?
Yeah.
Shameful. Do you believe that your life will have any significant impact on the world and human history?
Believe, yes. No, absolutely not.
Oof. Would you rather have your inner monologue sound like Gilbert Gottfried or Fran Drescher?
Gilbert Gottfried.
That is only one correct answer. Does everything happen for a reason?
No.
No.
Wish it did. It'd be cool.
Pineapple on pizza or fist fight?
Pineapple. I'll
Yeah,
fight you to put pineapple on my pizza. How about
You'll
that?
lose. Having the best having the best day of your life. What happens next? Another amazing thing or something terrible?
I am ever so slightly willing to kind of come around on this, but my heart of hearts says something bad's gonna happen.
I would say the size said everything. Is professional wrestling cool or lame?
I think it's cool, but not for me.
Fair answer. Nicolas Cage, best or worst?
if it's either or, he's the worst. There's no way he's the fucking best. So sorry, Nick. You got to be the worst then. It's somewhere in the middle in all reality, obviously, but it's definitely not the best.
Listen, we didn't come here for lukewarm takes. Spicy only. Get on the Scoville scale. Are soups smoothies?
Yes.
Weirdo. Do you create your own thoughts, or do you just listen to
I
them?
just listen to them. It's not even close. I charge no admission and they come in for free.
Would you rather the checkout line never had a line, or the fast food place always gives you a large fry when you ask for a medium?
Checkout line never had a line.
Yes. Nobody needs more fries. I will gladly take back 5 minutes.
Honestly, brief foray, up until like a month ago when I was like on break, all I did was my shopping was at Trader Joe's on my lunch break in Pasadena. There was never a line there. So if you asked me this a month ago, I would say large fry because I never encountered a line at the checkout anyway. But now that I've had to go back to like Vaughn's and there is like a massive checkout line, yeah, get me the fuck out of here.
Yeah. All right. Cheese fries, gift or an abomination?
Gift.
Amen. Album, shuffle, playlist.
I'm lazy. Shuffle.
Agreed. I shuffle my playlist. Aha! Coen Brothers versus Tarantino.
Coen Brothers, I think it's a little bit more heady.
All right. Is there such a thing as a perfect piece of art?
No.
Have you ever had a crush on a cartoon character?
Response? Oh yeah. Way more than one.
Not gonna touch it. What's more important, freedom or structure?
Oh, structure.
Communicate only in emojis or never text again.
Never text again.
Yeah, thank God. This is amazing. Would you rather have tentacle arms or kangaroo legs?
Tentacle arms would be rad. It's like you can taste with like because we're going off of like octopuses, right? So like
presumably,
like they can taste and like learn like hell yeah.
Yes. Yeah, but also
You can't back up with kangaroo legs either.
no, but you can kick people until they die. Also, it means if you ever wipe your ass, you taste your shit.
So get a bidet.
Okay, you trip and fall into mud, you taste the mud.
Or gloves. I don't know.
You don't have fingers!
Just like gloves. Like, have you worn mittens? They basically don't have finger holes either. It's just a sock.
Anyways, lonely, devastatingly handsome, and amoral, or homely with fulfilling platonic relationships and a good conscience.
I only have a chance at the back half, so that's where we're going. We're staying homely, baby.
Wow.
I get fulfilling relationships, a good conscience too. Like I'm already lonely.
Fair.
If I had to then be handsome and lonely, that's a recipe for suicide.
Climb Everest or walk all the way around North America.
If I could say that I would survive, I would climb Everest because then it's like a checklist item. Like you're like, I did this thing. But if I like had to embark, I would say walk all the way around North America because I believe I could do like just fundamentally do that.
Also, I'll be honest, I think that fucking climbing Everest is overrated at this point.
It has to be, right? The amount of people and trash
there's
that do
literally
it.
fucking trash at the top. It's got a trash problem because so many people do it.
Yeah. Also, people have died waiting to like take their picture at the top is just too much for me.
Yeah. If you want like crazy accolades, go climb K2. Like, don't. That'll get you killed. Would you rather be able to teleport through 2 walls a day or control every tube TV with your mind?
It's teleport through 2 walls a day. I'm sure that'll save me some time. I can't remember the last time I saw a tube TV, honestly.
I was gonna say, that second power is losing. It's losing a lot of validity very fast. Uh,
Can you imagine though going into like going into a pawn shop to show off to like somebody like like controlling 3 TVs?
no internet ever again, or the internet streams directly into your brain at all times.
Oh, I do love the internet, but that last one is really scary. It
It's,
could get
it's too much.
very dark fast.
That turns into like
I'm gonna say no.
migraines very fast.
Yeah, I'm gonna say. No, I'm gonna say internet directly streams my brain. I think like, is that I couldn't host a podcast and I couldn't play. Like, there's so many things that takes away from you. I think the cost is worth it comparatively.
I think the consequence is too much. You're a human in a world of Muppets, or you're a Muppet in a world of humans.
I don't want somebody's hand up my butt. I'll be a human in a world of Muppets.
Also, then you're just enormous and effectively have superpowers. Would you rather be an extraterrestrial or a ghost?
Extraterrestrial? Is that like if you meet a ghost, it brings up like a lot of like religious kind of afterlifey thingies?
I mean, I don't know, you meet an extraterrestrial, it brings a lot of existential questions as well.
I mean, it's just like Actually, wait. Change my answer. I want to meet a ghost. Ghost be fat. Because then there is an afterlife and there's a lot, like, I don't know, it's interesting. Extraterrestrial is just like speeding up, like, it's confirming something like the smartest people in the world already know, that there's other life out there. There just has to be. And so, like, confirming what we already know is, like, kind of whatever.
We do not know that. Well,
no, but, like,
the
the smartest people are like, yeah, it's, like, that's the good bet to take, right?
Fermi's paradox is the argument that there's so many options that there should be life somewhere else.
Sure.
Like
yes, that.
Yeah, it's Fermi's paradox is basically a question of if there's so many planets, why aren't we seeing extra life? Muzak at all times, but only you can hear, or filmed before a live studio audience that everyone can hear.
I would say Muzak at all times. I've tuned out shit before, so that would be hard, but I think I could do it. Having that interruption that only not I would hear, but other people would hear, and it's very come and go, would be like fucking weird.
Also having serious conversations and have people cut in with "ooh,"
yeah,
would be fucking awful.
Shut up!
Could you eat 37 of your favorite food for $5,000 in a 1-hour time limit?
No. I could not eat 37 burritos in an hour.
Oh, that attitude.
Not with this body.
All right. Congratulations. You have survived the lightning round.
Woo!
Now, as a reward, my gallivant guest, I grant thee a lightning round question of your own to be echoed for all time, or until we get bored of it.
Well, as I take back the helm of mine podcast for a moment.
My
Surf.
podcast?
Surf or turf?
Surf.
Yeah. I'm a turf guy. I'm a self. Yeah, I don't know. Like, even if it wasn't, even if it was just the activity, I would still prefer turf. Get me away from this water shit. It's wet.
But it's nice. I love water.
I wonder how much of a holdover that is in, like, the preference. I wonder if the people that like surf the dish also prefer to surf the activity.
So what is turf, the activity?
Standing on ground.
It's not an activity.
It is to me. I'm doing it right now. I'm doing it real good.
You're sitting.
I'm standing and you can't prove otherwise.
Neither can you.
Shares webcam. Fuck!
Nah, I'm not looking. You didn't prove shit. I refuse to see it. You don't know me. Anyway. Anything you want to plug or shout out you want to give people places they could find your content?
You can find me here every Monday at midnight on SoundCloud, YouTube, and Spotify. Passionate People and Preposterous Peeves. You can find the two of us if you like this witty repartee at Super Pros Bros. That's SuperProsebros. 3 different words. On YouTube, SoundCloud, and Spotify. We come out with an episode the first and third Saturday of every month.
My brain read it in the same cadence.
You can follow me on Twitter at IKEs. I'm sure I'll come up with like the Facebook equivalent thereof, whatever the fuck that one's called, just because Elon's doing such a bang up job on this platform.
What? He could do no wrong? No.
Dude, I had a conversation with somebody relatively recently, and I had a moment where I was like, oh yeah, I was about that motherfucker for a minute. Like back in like
a billion other people.
Yeah, fucking ate the cake and then had to spit it out. Like 2015, 2016, I was like, this guy, fuck yeah. I'm Team Elon. It's like, as time has gone, I'm like, what have I done? Luckily, I didn't buy any gear or anything that said that. Holy shit.
No.
Can you imagine having put like a sticker on something you loved that said Team Elon? Be like, I guess I gotta burn it.
God, I gotta get rid of this piece of shit.
Love to say thanks to my guest host and brother of mine of a bajillion years. Love you, man. Thank you very much.
29, working on 30. This motherfucker, I'm not that old.
We're not that young either.
I know exactly how old I am. I'm 29.
Like to say thanks to everybody that has come on this podcast before. Our mom, who very much believed in me and has helped us, both myself and yourself, accomplish some of our dreams when we kind of, took a big swing out. Yeah, and everybody that's listening today, thank you so much. I am really appreciative of your balls.
Aww.
And as far as nominations go, I don't know, I mentioned him earlier, so I'll take another shot in the dark. Breadsword, come on this fucking podcast. You'd be perfect.
I'll be sure to let him know.
All right. Well, thank you, Eli, for being my guest host today. And thank you, Past Me, for being my guest today. And a special thanks are due to my editor, Richard Ashford, and my composer, Joshua Gibbons. And you. Yes, you listening at home, or you found time to appreciate this. Time is the most precious commodity we have, and I appreciate you spending yours with us. And if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, like, or just share it with a friend. Every little bit helps. Or if you already have out of episodes to listen to, don't worry. We put out a new episode every Monday at midnight on SoundCloud, YouTube, Spotify, and iTunes at Passionate People and Preposterous Peeves podcast. And a very special thanks are due to our patrons, Sabella Yellow. And if you'd like to join said illustrious ranks and have your name read aloud, just head on over to patreon.com/Passionate People and Preposterous Peeves podcast. And as always, remember folks, if days are numbered and songs are sung, at the end of the day, I think we've all won. So please stick around, because great things have only just begun.